I will be presenting on the sociological imagination curated by C. Wright Mills. Throughout this presentation, I will go through 8 main parts. The main question, definition, why does the sociological imagination theory exist? What purpose does it serve? How does it impact society? How is it used? Sociological imagination for academic integrity and the importance to research. The main question is, why is sociological imagination so important? Its sub-questions are, why does the sociological imagination theory exist? What purpose does it serve? How does this impact in society? And how do people use it today? Sociological imagination is a term formulated by C. Wright Mills in the mid-20th century. The sociological imagination enables its possessor to understand the larger historical scene. The first fruit of this imagination is the idea that the individual can understand his own experience by locating himself within his period and become aware of the individuals in these circumstances. In summary, the sociological imagination enables us to grasp history and biography and the relations between the two within society. It is the capacity to shift from one perspective to another, to range from the most impersonal and remote transformations to the most intimate features of the human self, and to see the relations between the two. Why does the sociological imagination theory exist? Well, it exists because neither the life of an individual nor the history of a society can be understood without understanding both. It helps the individual to develop the reason of what is going on in the world and of what may be happening within themselves. Having a sociological imagination allows us to make connections between individuals and the societies in which they live. It enhances our ability to make sense of the behavior of individuals. What purpose does it serve? Sociological imagination is a way to acquire a new way of thinking, a way to think by reflection and by sensibility. Its purpose is its ability to allow us to notice how personal troubles are really a matter of public issues. This distinction is essential as the sociological imagination and a feature of all the classic work in social sciences. To explain this further, Mill says troubles occur within the individual, is a private matter. Issues have to do with matters outside the individual. An issue is a public matter. The troubles we experience are often caused by structural changes. To understand these changes, we are required to look beyond them. A sociological imagination allows us to understand social life better. As Erickson explained, viewing social life from the 14th floor of a building, a perspective she often referred to in her reading, View from the 14th Floor, allows us to see how individuals are driven by social forces, which give them direction and persuade how they should act, behave, and think. Viewing people from a ground view, it can be hard to see if any of their actions are persuaded by anything other than their own decisions. You can barely even see a pattern. However, viewing these behaviors from the 14th floor reveals the many consistencies in human life. It shows how we behave in predictable ways. Everyone is unique and has a unique personality, but the view from the 14th floor suggests that there are more commonalities in the midst of all those particularities, that given social life is distinct in its design. For instance, we think it is so normal that we eat 3 meals a day at a designated time. We put our children into school at a certain age and keep them in buildings called schools. We live with only one partner at a time and we eat chicken, but not sparrows. These practices feel so normal that they feel as though they are from some natural core, but really they are a product of cultural conditioning, not a gift of nature. How does sociological imagination impact society? Using a sociological imagination allows individuals, specifically psychiatrists, legal defenders, lawyers, and judges, to understand the impact of social milieus and help us understand the behaviors of individuals in our environment. In the case of Hernando Washington, a convicted murderer, kidnapper, and rapist, is an example provided by McIntyre in her article on how the sociological imagination plays a significant part in crimes. Once Hernando got convicted, he could not understand why his punishment was so harsh. To us, we cannot begin to understand why this was so difficult for Hernando to accept. You kill someone, you get punished under the law. But we found out that this was so hard for Hernando to accept because of his social environment in South Chicago, where his sister can get raped with no repercussions. He can have 3 convictions of rape and still walk free. His brother can be murdered and the killer does not get arrested. His life experiences left him with the mindset that life does not count for too much and it is okay to take what you want. He was taught that there is a low value that is placed on life. To understand why he acted the way he did in no way makes his actions justifiable, but it is crucial to make sense of it, and the sociological imagination allows us to do just that. We're able to see how one's social environment affects people, and then this understanding can be used by individuals to try to make changes in that environment. The very use of sociological imagination can create a better world. It can bring light to the injustices and inequalities in communities and can lead us to finding resolutions. So, how is the sociological imagination used? Mills provides us with 3 key examples of how sociological imagination may be used to benefit our overall understanding of society and personal actions: unemployment, war, and marriage. The first example is unemployment. In a city of 100,000 and only one man is unemployed, this is a personal trouble. But when 15 million men are unemployed, that is a public issue. It requires us to look at the economic and political institutions and not merely the personal situation. The second example is war. When war occurs, an individual worries about how to survive it or how to climb to higher safety. But the structural issues of war have not to do with its causes, what types of men it throws up into combat, with its effect upon economic and political, family, and religious institutions. The third example is marriage. Inside a marriage, a man and a woman may experience personal troubles, but when the divorce rate during the first 4 years of marriage is 250 out of every 1,000 attempts, this is an indication of a structural issue having to do with the institutions of marriage. The sociological imagination is a useful tool for teaching about plagiarism and academic integrity. As discussed in Trotner and Bortland's article, they created an exercise which can be used to educate their students on academic integrity, as well as impose the concept of sociological imagination. This exercise encourages students to think of academic dishonesty not as personal troubles, but also as public issues. Research found that more than half of students had engaged in dishonest behavior within a 6-month period. Fewer than 2% had been caught. This exercise begins with students brainstorming why they might be enticed to cheat. The teacher will ask how personal problems like pressure to perform could be thought of as public issues. For example, for the item they think it does not matter, one could use a follow-up question to draw out public consequences. Instructors might question whether dishonesty matters, more for some majors than others. So, would you have cheating matter if a doctor, accountant, or engineer cheated his way through training? Now, this exercise uses the sociological imagination and further allows students to understand the ways we must connect personal troubles to public issues, put things into a broader context, understanding them as a more public issue, see how your biography relates to history, and as Trotner and Bortland argue, academic dishonesty affects all students, not just those who cheat. Those who witness cheating and see no repercussions can become disillusioned with the educational system. Moreover, academic dishonesty exerts a toll on faculty, damages faculty-student relationships, and gets in the way of teaching and learning. Through this exercise, the imagination allows students to see how academic dishonesty is an issue that is bigger than just a student. For example, students came to realize cheating has implications on the faculty because now professors are not able to adequately assess learning and class averages become falsified. The presumably small issue of cheating is really a problem for more than just the individual. It is an issue for the faculty as a whole and the university. Sociological imagination is an important concept to understand when conducting research. Specifically, when researchers use the scientific method, it gives individuals the ability to see the context which shapes individual decision making, as well as the decisions made by others. It allows researchers to better identify and question various aspects of society, as opposed to passively living within it. It allows researchers to draw a link between personal experiences and society at large. The scientific method is a framework used by researchers to achieve accurate results and provides an outline to answer a question and organize results. Using the sociological imagination becomes crucial in the scientific method process, specifically when you initially ask a question, formulate a hypothesis, and draw conclusions. Looking at individual human behavior and identifying previously invisible patterns and connections with the rest of society.